Hi everyone, it's Kim from Fleece and Harmony. Welcome to our knitting podcast with Crochet. That's been recorded in our shop. That's in our mill, our woolen mill, that is on our sheep farm in Belfast, Prince Edward Island. This is episode 88. They're just flying by, number 88, and it is January 24th, 2022. And it has really started with a bang, 2022, I have to say. So in this episode, we have quite a lot to talk about in this episode, actually. We are going to have an appearance from Betsy Campbell from Love and Llama, because she's going to show me how to put the belly on my llama that I was crocheting. There'll be a farm update, of course. And there is just one whip because I'm going to show Paisley. I put the button bands on, so I'm going to show that. And then I've got a ton of finished objects, not all of them mine, but I just wanted to do a little bit of a feature on our Selkirk Worsted yarn, and for a couple reasons. And there's lots of knitting that we have with Selkirk Worsted, and today finished objects are brought to you by Janet, who works with us in the mill, because she's been knitting up a storm during the storm days, and she just loves to knit with Selkirk Worsted. So I'm going to show a lot of her objects that she's finished, some small and some big, like the one I'm wearing, and I'll explain later. And I am going to do an update on my little bunny knitting, because they're multiplying like rabbits. I'm just loving doing them. And we have a shop update where I'm going to talk about Selkirk Worsted in a little bit more detail. And at the end of the podcast proper, we'll have a little update for the PEI Fibre Festival and Harmony part at the end. So we'll get started with the farm update. So it has been wild weather here in the last 2 weeks. So literally we have had 2 snowstorms. With winds going up to 100 kilometers an hour, and snow between 20 and 40 centimeters, depending on where you were in the on the island. But the truth is that there were bare patches on the ground and drifts that were probably 5 feet high. So where the wind was blowing, it blew it right down to the grass. You could still see grass. And then up against every door on the farm, basically, we had drifts that were pretty high. And in the sheep barn right now, 2 of the windows you can't see out because the drifts are right over the top of the windowsills on the top. So it's been pretty incredible. Very cold some days, and then above freezing other days. So it's a freezing and thawing situation. And it has been pretty nuts. So we've been shoveling, and we have a plow guy that comes to plow out. And then we have a neighbor that has a little tractor that helped us clean up around with his blower. And it was actually kind of hard for his little tractor and blower to get through some of the drifts because the wind just compacted them. And so we've made it through that. The power has been out twice. It was out today, actually, so we weren't sure if we were going to be able to record this, but it did come on again like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. So we had power. We have a generator, so it's okay. We're able to keep the water pumps going for the animals, which is really our main concern, is that when the power goes out, that we can't bring water. And if we had to, I don't know what we do. We fill up the bathtub in the house so that we don't have the generator running all the time. But the water is really the big thing for us. We made sure that all of the animals had hay and everything beforehand, so that we wouldn't have to be worried about if we were going to be able to haul big bales of hay to the horses, for example. So we were all organized for that. But it's always a little bit disruptive when the power goes out, even if you are well prepared. And so today alone, it's been 6 degrees and raining, and down to -10 tonight, and it started snowing at about dinner time. And I'm recording this in the evening, so it started snowing around 5 o'clock or so. and it's going to go down to minus 16 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be like a skating rink tomorrow. So we'll have to be, I have crimp-ons for my boots. So when I'm doing chores, I can stick into the ice a little bit, but it's going to be pretty treacherous tomorrow morning, I think, around until we get some sand and salt around everywhere. And the horses took advantage this week of a break in the weather. So there was all of that snow and drifting, but the snow in their pastures kind of stayed sort of soft. And Ken and I looked out the window one morning and they were going crazy. They were running around because the footing was good. And for the week and a half before that, it had been really, really cold. So it had been muddy before, and then it got really, really cold. So the ground froze, the bare ground froze in all kinds of bumps and stuff, like where they've been trotting over the fields. And around where the water bucket and stuff, it was a little bit rough. So they were really walking kind of tentatively because it was really hard and really bumpy. So when the fresh snow was down and it was deep enough that their hoofs were not even touching down to the soil, they could, it was really nice and smooth, and just, it was a pleasure to watch them. They were jumping up and down, like bucking, and they were kicking their legs out in behind. They were going up on their rear legs, and they were chasing each other around. It was really quite the show they were putting on for about 15 minutes. It was amazing. I tried to get some video of it, but of course, every time I tried to video, they weren't doing it. They were taking a little bit of a break, and I didn't want to get any closer to them because they were really kind of like pretty exuberant, let's put it that way. So I wasn't going to try to get too close to them while they were doing that. So they were really having fun. And then now tomorrow, probably not so much, because it's I'm pretty sure that it's going to be icy. So what we do for the horses when it's icy, if they have a path worn and then it gets glazed with ice, we actually take some of their manure and we put that down in the path. And then what happens is when it kind of thaws a little bit and then freezes again, it makes a nice rough place for them so that their footing is good. And we try not to move any vehicles around, even when we're going to fill up their water tank. We just make sure that we're only using one track. So because once you start putting the ATV over the snow and compacting it down, and then the freezing and thawing that happens, that it does make it quite icy. So the less we go over it with machinery, the better. So that's what we've been doing. So tonight, like I said, we're being prepared for, minus double digits. And then later this week, again, it's going to be up to +1, and then it's going to be down to minus 16 again. So it's just really a bit of a roller coaster. Not the funnest. We'd prefer that it just stayed at around -4 and just stayed there until the spring, but that's not really that's not the winter that we've been dealt with this year. All right, so that's about it for what's been going on with the farm. Everybody is healthy and happy, of course, and it's just about the weather, really just about the weather. So I'm going to talk about my works in progress, which is going to be the Paisley this week again. I have still been working on Tungsten, which is the sweater from Rowan that I've been knitting and felt at Tweed, but it really is not much to see. The back is just, I'm continuing to do the back, and there's no real change that you can see from the last time we were together. So, but Paisley, however, I did the button bands on Paisley. So this has been going on. I had to find a clip from an episode about the folded hem that I did on my Cornwallis sweater for somebody. And I was going back and back and back in all of the previous episodes, and I didn't look exactly to see when I first started talking about Paisley, but for sure it's been a year, I think, since I've been talking about it. Obviously, it was in a little bit of hibernation at one point, but I have the button bands on now. So the way that the button bands, I'm just tangled up here. So the way that the button bands go on here is you had a facing that you knit, and then you fold it under, and then where that facing was folded, you start crocheting on the knitted part of the button band. So you actually have I think it's 4 rows of knit for the facing, and the steek is hidden inside that, the edges of the where we steeked, and that's hidden inside that kind of a steek sandwich. And then so I'll just show you where that ends. So the knitting is like to there, and then you crochet roughly the same width again for the, you can see it better from the inside actually. So this is where you crochet, and on the other side of this purple part was where you knit. So, and you did, look at it, it's just so sharp, like the corners that you do, the pattern tells you how to make the nice corners. And now I'm about to start, there's some embellishments that go along the edge of the button band here. So the crocheting, it's all about crocheting now at this point for this sweater. I did mark the buttonholes because there's instructions about where to place the buttons. So there's 10 buttons altogether. I took the last marker that I had on the bottom here off because I was starting to do some of the embellishing crochet until I figured out that I wasn't really doing it right. So I got some coaching from Sidsel today on how to do it. So I'm going to restart that. And I marked the buttonholes so that I would get them at the right separation apart. So right above where you see this marker is the buttonhole. And the way that you make that buttonhole, it's crocheted into the button band. So you just use a chain stitch in crochet and then reattach after the chain. And then you crochet over the top of that chain for the next 2 or 3 rounds, I can't remember. And you have the buttonholes there. When I am finished and ready to sew on the buttons, I will match up the buttonholes. I'll probably pin the sweater together and then mark where I'm going to sew the buttons as well. So it's really coming along nicely, and you can just see how they lay. And the pattern gives you instructions about how, after you've knit the part of the button band that you had to knit, if you made it a little too loose, then she tells you how you can tighten it up a bit so that you have a nice button band that lays flat. So I probably took a close-up picture for that too, so I'll show you a little bit more detail. It's kind of hard to see because it's quite, the knitting is quite dense, it's textured, but it's a little bit hard to see that. So the next step is going to be doing a lighter color all around this trim and then a darker color. So this brown color that's in the bottom, it goes along the whole outside of the jacket, and then that's about it for that part. And then there's duplicate stitch and more embroidery around the paisleys and crocheting around the paisleys, sequins and the buttons. So it's just the Sidsel said to me this morning in the text that she sent me was, this is when the magic starts. So the knitting, all of this was just a prelude to doing all of the magical embellishments that she's thought up. So it's actually really fun now at this point because the little steps are it was a lot of crocheting, but the steps are, I did the button band in an evening, so you can have progress with each step and just not these long stretches of knitting. So that's the Paisley. So that's there'll be more every week now. I'll make some progress on that because it is the fun part. It really is. So that's the whip. So no real ripping this week, except for I started the next step of the crochet and then figured out I was doing it wrong. So that prompted me to send a message to Sidsel. And so I ripped that out, but it was really, I had just gone a few centimeters and realized I wasn't doing it correctly. So that's for that. So now the finished objects, I have finished some bunnies, but I'm going to do that as a separate section. The first finished object I wanted to show is what I'm wearing, and this is the Ashabi wrap by Martin Story, and this is featured in Rowan magazine number 66. And you've seen this before because I've worn it before and I've shown it before. It was originally knit in alpaca soft DK, And this is the original sample that Rowan sent us, actually. And it is really, I've talked about Alpaca Soft DK a lot because it is really, really a lovely yarn. The colors in this are Charcoal, Rainy Day, and I can't remember what I want to say Hyacinth. I think it's Hyacinth is the purple color. So if you like these colors, those, I'll put some notes in the show notes, and or on a title, either way. So this is the original. And but Janet wanted to knit hers in Selkirk Worsted. It's a big wrap. You can see. So I'm just going to fold this up and then show you a little bit more about the one that I'm wearing. So Janet wanted to do hers in Selkirk Worsted. So the colors are Seagull is the light gray, and then you have Slate for the darker charcoal gray. And then the contrasting color is the ever popular Autumn Birch. And so our worsted yarn, I think she got Gauge with the worsted yarn. So even though Alpaca Soft is a DK, it seems that our worsted yarn works in this project just as well. And in fact, it actually feels a bit lighter. The Alpaca Soft DK is very round and fluffy, whereas the Selkirk Worsted is a 2-ply yarn, so it's a little bit flatter, I think. But it's just a lovely wrap. It's quite generous, as you saw when I had the other one unfolded up. And if you want to wear it like this, you really should have a pin. So I'm actually wearing it with Runa, which is a Jewel Designs penannular brooch, which means that the shawl stick is attached to a ring. And so you don't have two pieces, it's just in one piece. And you put the shawl stick through, and then you turn this ring around to fasten your piece with that. So it's really kind of an ingenious design, and she's got quite a few different ones. So if you pop over on the website to the Jewel Designs collection, then you'll see quite a good choice there. I just love them because you don't have to worry about two pieces. And they're sturdy enough that they can hold a garment the size of this. It's quite heavy, relatively speaking. So you need, it's not like a light, airy shawl, like, you know, that's very thin with lace. But this type of brooch is perfect for this type of project to hold it. So Janet just did a great job, and it was a lot of knitting. It is a lot of knitting, but it's really, really satisfying because it is a beautiful, beautiful piece that she's made, and it really shows off these colors in Selkirk Worsted. So again, it's Seagull, Slate, and Autumn Birch. So that's what I'm wearing. Pattern design by Martin Story, found in Rowan 66 for the book. So the other thing that Janet was making was lots of hats and mittens. So I'm going to show you some of the projects that she did, because some of them it's because of the way that they show off the yarn, and others is just because the project is so cute. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a pair of mittens. The pattern is called Movie Night Mittens, and it's by Betty Clay. And it is a free download on Ravelry. So if you check it out on Ravelry, you will see. And Janet was using up a lot of her yarns that she had left over from other projects for these things that I'm going to show you now. So these are the Movie Night mittens. They are so sweet. I just love this band at the cuff. And this detail in the gray. So this is actually Seagull, again, in Selkirk Worsted. And I don't know if you can see those. It almost looks like a bit of it has the impression of the Norwegian braid, but it's not, it's a slip stitch type of stitch. And so probably a little bit easier than the Norwegian braid. And you have also this beautiful striped pattern. So the colors in this is Seagull on the top, Slate is the dark gray on the cuff with Vineyard, and then she used for the rest of the mitten, she used Vineyard with a really soft variegated yarn in the middle, which was one of the Garfield Grizzly colors that we have that we don't have anymore, but it has just a little bit of a pinkish hue. Goes really well with the vineyard. And it's an afterthought thumb, so no thumb gusset, and the thumb is made with the pink and the seagull. And I'll just show you how they look when they're on. They're really, really nice. They really fit well. My hand size is 7.5 for glove size, and they just fit me perfectly. They have a little bit of room left if your hand is a little bit bigger, and they just have a little bit of negative ease if your hand is smaller. So I just think they are. I think it's cute, the name, that is the movie night mittens. I guess that meant because they were a little bit fancy. I don't know. Anyway, they're just lovely. So that's a Selkirk worsted project as well. And other than the Grizzly, which is at the same specs as the Selkirk worsted. So that's using up leftover yarns that she had. Other than the vineyard, it would take about probably a skein of the vineyard. Then she also had a full skein of Scotch on the Rocks. So she made this great pattern hat. She started with the Riley pattern from Rowan. So in the Rowan beanie book, the pattern book for beanies, they have just a 1x1 rib hat pattern, which is called the Riley. Janet wanted a 2x2 rib, so she did a 2x2. She just adapted 2x2. I love the fact that it's a long hat pattern that you just you roll up the cuff, so you have that double cuff. We also put a pom-pom on there. So these are handmade pom-poms that we have in the shop that you can purchase, and they snap on, but the snap is really tight, so I'm going to try to get it off of there without there. So you sew the snap onto the end of the hat, and then you have the snap inside the pom-pom. So if you want to wash your hat, you just can take the pom-pom off and do it. Or if you have, we tried a couple different pom-poms with this hat too and couldn't decide which one. We decided in the end we liked this one the best. But if you had other colored hats and you wanted to change the pom-pom, you could do that as well. So again, Riley from Rowan is the pattern from Quail Studio, I think. And it's just adapted with a 2x2 rib rather than a 1x1. It's kind of a basic beanie pattern. And I'm just gonna, I'll try it on for you. So it's really, we were laughing in the store the other day because I was trying them on without the pom-pom, and they didn't look very good on me. I need the height from the pom-pom, and it's hard to believe that the pom-pom made all the difference in the world, but that's how that fits. It's cute. And we have a couple different types of pom-poms as well. We have this brown one with the darker tips. Then we have this one, which is brown, and same thing, it has the stamp. And these are the snap. These are handmade by a gal that lives just not far from us, and it's faux fur, so no need to worry. Animal safety here. And we have white with brown tips, and we have white ones with black tips, the same as this. So those are in the shop if you're interested in those. And we use them. We sell quite a lot of them. And then if you want to see the difference, you can see the lighter brown. So there's that hat. But Janet wasn't finished yet. I'm just going to have to take a look at my producer and ask if my I don't mind trying the hats on, but it does. Okay, so then she did the hat. This is without the pom-pom yet. She's got a pom-pom inside. I guess she's planning on using the same pom-pom on this one. And this is the cranberry scones. So if you were wondering what the cranberry scones was going to look like, knit up, that's it. And I'll just show you. This is how it looks in the skein. And so knit up, it gives you this effect. So we still have lots of this in stock. We're making it like every second day because it's been selling really well. So cranberry scones, and it knits like this. So same hat pattern for that one. And then she worked on some more mittens as well. So she had some of the Scotch on the Rocks left from the beanie, and she made a pair of the solstice mitts in with other ends that she had from other patterns. So the solstice mitt pattern is from Saltwater Gifts. So this is one of the patterns in Saltwater Gifts. And in this case, she used slate, so some slate that she had left over, and then Scotch on the Rocks, and she had autumn birch again. It's a little bit busy because you have autumn birch and slate in the Scotch on the Rocks. And then she used autumn birch and slate as the solid colors as well. So it has a very muted effect on the pattern, and I'm going to show you another pair that she did that has a higher contrast, and you're going to see the difference. But this is the solstice mitt from Saltwater Mittens, and the Saltwater mittens have a thumb gusset. So these are a gusseted mitt. So she did a pair of those. And then she did another pair, or is working on another pair. And these are solstice again, and you can see the difference. She used strawberry fields for the variegated, and she just used plain natural. So it shows off the variegated yarn a little bit better, I think. These aren't finished. She hasn't done the thumb yet, but you can see this is a really nice. I have strawberry fields here. This is a different dye lot, but you can see it's variegated, but it's not doesn't have any white space in it really. So that is the contrast there. And again, solstice mittens from Saltwater Gifts. So if you haven't seen, a lot of people have the Saltwater Mittens book, and we've also sold a lot of the Saltwater Classics, and we sold a lot of the gifts, but not as many as the other two. But there's some really, really great patterns in that third book as well. So you might want to check that out. So, and the variegated yarn in the Selkirk Worsted is Strawberry Fields. So that's that one. We're not done yet. She also she did more autumn birch. Autumn birch is one of Janet's favorite colors to go with almost everything. So these are the salt and pepper mittens, also from Saltwater Gifts, and they have the rounded end on them, and it's got a really deep gusset. You can see that there. I'll try them on. And they just fit a little bit different, and the gusset is actually highlighted with the patterning with the chestnut colors. So she knit this in Selkirk Worsted in chestnut with autumn birch. It's a low contrast, but that's what she wanted for these mittens. And she Kitchener stitched the ends of these ones, so it's a little bit of a different, more of a rounded mitten. So those are cozy. They're really, really cozy. And then she did one more thing. Now I'm going to show this just because the beanie is really cute, and the pattern of the mittens is also a free download from Ravelry. So this pattern is called the Norwegian Fisherman's Pattern, and I didn't write down who the designer, Eva Eriksson is the designer. So again, if you just in Ravelry you put in Norwegian Fisherman's mittens, then you'll get this as a free download. They have like a garter edge, and they have an afterthought thumb, so that's just inserted there. And they have a really nice shape to them. They're flat, kind of a flat color. They've got the pointed type, but they're really cute. And I like the fact that they come up quite high on the cuff. So you can see that they'd be really warm and comfortable. And there's lots of room in these ones. So you could even wear like a tighter pair of mittens underneath and have the wool on the outside. The color is actually it's a color that we made that we rejected as a color that we would carry. It might have been the first version of Thistle, but we never launched it, so it's not available. So Janet just knit up the skeins that we used as a test in these. But this mitten pattern is really cute too. Just a simple straight mitten with that nice little just that edging on the end, and the afterthought thumb. And she also did a really simple beanie to match this, and this is just her own pattern that she made up, so there's not a pattern to refer you to. It's just a super simple beanie with a star pattern on the top, the crown, and on the edge she's just rolled the edge. And the way that she worked this is she did stockinette for the edge, and then you'll see there's this little ridge here. It's just a 2x2 rib that she put in there, and it's to keep the rolling from going any further than that, because that's all that she wanted. So if I do a closer look like this, you can see it rolls up right up to the 2x2 rib, and then it doesn't go any further. So, and again, that's in the same color, Selkirk Worsted. So Janet's been busy. That's it. So that is all that she knit. And there was one more set of mittens that I wanted to show you, because I think the pattern is really nice. And they're knit in our Icelandic yarn, which is called Heatherdale Lopi. You can check that out. This pattern is called the Mare, M-A-R-E pattern, and that is designed by yes, Pamela Wynn. I wrote it down, thank goodness. Pamela Wynn. It's also kind of like they would have been called lice, but it's kind of has a salt and pepper look to it. The Lopi is like super warm, and these are knit really densely, so they'd be really kind of wind proof as well. And there's a hat that matches, that's in this pattern as well. And the hat is, I'm not showing the hat because I don't have the color anymore that it was knit from, but what you do is you can make the mittens and you use a light and a dark color, and then the hat, you do the opposite. You use the dark as the main color and the light as the contrast. So you can get the hat and the mittens from 2 skeins of the Heatherdale Lopi to make the set. And they coordinate, but they're not exactly the same. And again, that's the Mare hat and mitts, and the designer is Pamela Wynn, and it is on Ravelry as well, but it's not a free pattern. You have to buy that pattern, but it takes 2 skeins of the Heatherdale Lopi. So lots of good ideas for mittens and hats. And I wanted to show all of this because you have a big project that takes some commitment, like Janet did with the Ashabi shawl or wrap. And then just like my rabbits that I'm doing, you need sometimes you just need a few patterns that you can just knock off and have a success and play with yarn, really. Like that's what Janet was doing, different combinations of variegated and solids. So, low contrast or high contrast to give you lots of ideas for little projects that you can do. And any of those patterns are great. Of course, we sell the saltwater gifts book, and then the other patterns you can get from Ravelry, except for the shawl. The Ashabi shawl is in Rowan magazine 66. And like all patterns that are in the magazines, you have to have the magazine, and you can't buy the pattern separately. 66 is actually a really good book. It's also the book that the Huxley sweater was in, which is the sweater that I knit for Ken. There's some really good classic patterns in that book. So if you're checking it out, you can see all the patterns on Ravelry if you search for Rowan magazine 66. And you can check it out and see if you think it's worth buying it, and we have them in stock. So There's a lot of patterns in there that are really, really classic, nice patterns. So I think that that's it for the finished objects. So there was a lot of them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hop over to a segment that we recorded earlier with Betsy for the llamas. And then after we do the llamas, then I'm going to show you my little cotton rabbits that I've been knitting. So again, for Betsy's segment, it's not really meant to be a tutorial. It just is a continuation of the introduction that we made from it would be 3 episodes ago when we started the llamas. And Betsy is with her business, she actually crochets custom llamas, and she does have some pieces and other animals as well, using cotton yarns and stuff. And they're just every little creature has its own little personality, and she actually does some custom work where she brings out the personality of the people as well. So it's really worth taking a look at her website. And she's showing me how to put the llama together. So it's not meant to be a tutorial on the stitches itself, but you can hear and watch me struggling trying to get my crochet is so tight that it's painful, and it's all about the tension. Crochet, I'm having a real challenge with that, but you can check that out with Betsy and I, and I'll meet you back here once that segment's over. Okay. So Betsy, we're ready to move on.
We are.
After a little break.
A little break. It feels like forever ago.
Yeah, I know. It does. Like 15 years ago. Was
something
before
of the
Christmas.
sort.
Yes. So here we are, but we haven't given up.
No, we've not. And we are ready to carry on and create a little belly.
Right.
For
so for people that maybe skip or like in this episode and haven't seen the 2 previous ones where you have joined me, Betsy is teaching me how to crochet llamas, because Betsy is the loving llama gal.
Yeah.
Her website, I have a link in her website down below in the description if you want to see the beautiful little llamas that Betsy makes with their little personalities, which I can hardly wait to get to that part.
We'll get there. We will.
Okay, we will. First, right now we've just got 4 legs.
Yeah.
And the little chain that joins them, that's going to become the belly.
Yeah. And we're going to enlarge the belly today. Sorry, I've got an end hanging. I'm trying to tuck in. So we've connected the 2 legs, the front 2 legs. Oops.
One more thing.
Yep.
This is not a tutorial. It's just showing you how to do it. So we're not going to, if you don't know how to do a single crochet
or half double or double, we're not going to teach that today.
Yeah, we're just going to show you how to put the llamas together.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's lots of other opportunities to find YouTube on the actual stitches, but
so we're not going to run into the X versus the daisy stitch fiasco that we did before.
No,
hopefully
I don't
it won't
think so.
affect the half double and the double.
Well, I'm going to twist my yarn the other way.
The way that you, because you figured it out.
Right.
All right.
So in case people were wondering about that, I did, 15, 16, 20, 100 legs, and they were never looking the same way as Betsy's legs are. Betsy's a left-handed crocheter. I'm a right-handed crocheter. And who knew that just the way that you twist the yarn around your needle makes a big difference. So normally when I'm crocheting, I twist my yarn going towards the left over the needle. Okay. And Betsy twists her yarn going towards the right.
Yes, I do.
And apparently
it makes a different stitch.
Yeah, you do it naturally.
Yes.
But for amigurumi, they recommend that you do it
that way.
The right.
Well, it might be also because I learned crochet mostly doing amigurumi. My sister taught me on a dishcloth just quickly while sitting at a lake. But then when I went to actually learn, I watched amigurumi videos.
Right.
Where you probably learned to crochet from how to crochet videos.
Yes,
so it
that's
would
right.
potentially be different.
That's right.
The funny thing is, as I'm looking for new patterns, because I'm always wanting to try new things, I am now seeing, I'll look at the pattern and I'll go, oh, that's done with what would be a more official amigurumi stitch, and that's done with what I now call the Kim stitch.
Right. Right.
Because so there are patterns out there that have been designed that do have that stitch.
Yeah, of course.
It just has a little different texture to it in the end.
Right.
It's still functional.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so to carry on, we have ours attached. Now we need to go all the way around the first set of legs that we're close to, and then we're going to come across the belly. And once we get there, I'll explain what we're going to do across there. So for now, we need to do the stitches all the way across, around the legs, I mean.
And are we going under the full loop? Or
yes, we
just,
are.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Under the full loop. And I'm going to do a quick count of mine to see about how many we should have, because I think we ended with 12 at the top of each. You can start yours, go ahead.
Okay.
We ended with 12 at the top of each, but we've taken away about, oh geez, now I'm going to show my math skills to the world. This is not wise.
We should have 12.
Well, we had 12 on each leg.
Yeah.
So we would have had about 24 stitches, right? But then we've subtracted 3.
Okay.
So we should have, I think, about 21 stitches around, or even 20. 6. I'm going to have a quick count.
No, didn't we subtract 6?
I don't know.
3 from each side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. You start stitching. I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way and count.
Okay.
That's how I do math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right. And I'm just going to keep trying to remember to do my yarn. So I'm doing a single crochet.
Yes.
And by the way, we're talking about, what is it? Not the UK crochet terms. We're using
American.
American.
Yeah, I think they call them American.
Okay,
yeah,
American terms.
We're in Canada.
Okay, so single crochet.
Yes.
Then we're going to do
another one. So I did put it together. I did a quick count. We want 20 in total around here.
All right.
So 10 on each leg.
So we're doing 2 singles?
No, you're carrying straight on. 1 single in each one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 1 single.
Oh, so we're not doing
stitch.
the fancy part
Not yet.
Okay.
No, right now it's
this is really stiff still. I'm not quite used to this still.
No problem.
Oh, there, I almost went the wrong.
Okay, so as we come across up to the join there, it can be a little bit tricky because you're kind of trying to decide where you're going to go in.
Okay.
And here is where we want to grab the next leg. So see, you've got that kind of, yours is actually really neat. So that's good. You have a nice tight join there. So I think you can go right into that one there.
Okay.
Yep. Mine's a little bit bulkier, so I'm just going to
Mine is so tight because I'm so awkward with this that
that's okay. That's
the only way that it can be.
That's great. Then you don't have to worry about, see, I just ran into that where I did not pull it tight enough, and now I would, if I continued that way, I'd have a little hole there, and I don't want that.
Can you fix that after?
You can. I do sometimes.
Kind of like the gusset of a mitten.
Yeah. Or
sock joint heel.
And sometimes in the underarm of sweaters, I think I've heard people do a stitch or 2 in there too. Okay, so you made it there. All right, so now on this chain, again, we said we wouldn't tutorial, but I'll at least talk about it.
Okay.
So we've got these V's going on here. I don't really expect you to be able to see, but we're only going to pull from one side of the chain.
Okay.
So we don't actually want to go through the whole thing. So we're going to start with a single crochet into that. So there's 5 stitches there. So kind of figure out which 5 you're going to work
tight,
with.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay,
yep,
perfect.
That makes sense. So go into the first one.
Okay, I have to get this in here.
And that's a single stitch. And yes, this might take a little bit of wiggle.
Single crochet?
Single crochet. And you want to pull that tight. So you don't want, which you're not having troubles with. But again, you don't want a hole in there.
Okay.
If you have one, we can patch it up later, but I'm always for not needing to go back. Okay.
Okay, it's probably tight.
Into the next one, we're doing the half double crochet.
Okay.
So just refresher for you, you want to actually yarn over.
Yarn over before I put it in?
Before you go into the chain.
Yes, okay.
Go into half the chain, or
in the loop.
The loop, whatever we want to call that.
Okay, this is a little bit fiddly.
Yeah, it is. You just kind of got to find
Oh, there we go. Okay. So I've got the loop over.
So just pull one through. So you're going to have 3 sitting on your hook there.
So, sorry, what do
pull this through both. Yeah. Now we're going to pull through all 3, and that's our half.
And that's going to be tight.
That's half of the double crochet.
All right.
There.
Okay, so we're back because I finally got it through.
Do we have to give her the bad news? We got to do this one a few more times.
Yeah, no, maybe the next one will be easier.
So again, now this one's an actual double crochet. So we're going to go yarn over before you go through.
Okay, that's going to be a trick to remember that. Okay.
Then go through your chain. Actually, maybe this one will be easier for you because this one you don't have to do all of them right away.
Okay, there's the whole. I really wish I didn't do this chain as tight as I did. Okay, there. And then
bring it through so that you'll end up with the 3 loops on your
Right.
hook again.
Got it. Yeah.
3 on there.
Okay.
Yeah, so now we're going to pull through 2.
Okay.
Just 2 of them, so that we're going to end up with 2 on the
I was actually going to say that.
needle.
So
Oh,
that's
good
kind
job.
of sign it
And now we're
in
going to
my
go
lizard
through,
brain, obviously, somewhere. Okay.
go through those 2
Okay.
again, and there we have our double.
Okay. Show notes. Okay. So then the next one.
So now we're going to go back to the half double crochet,
Okay,
your
so
favorite.
over.
So yarn over, through half the chain, and then this time through all 3.
There we go. Down here. That's right. Through the first one.
Yep.
Okay.
And now through all 3.
Now through all 3. Okay. Oh yeah, it's going to be tight again.
Give it a wiggle. Loosen it up a bit. Yeah, and see if that helps.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
There you go, yeah.
Already an
Okay,
improvement.
and then the last
Okay.
one is a single crochet.
Okay. No loop over
Nope,
first.
no yarn over. Nope.
Right into the
Single
thing.
crochet. Now you want to make sure your legs are not twisted for this next step. So make sure that you're, oops, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
So now so you're not twisted. So you've got it. They're good. You don't want them
Okay.
twisted around. So you're going to go into that first stitch there
Okay.
on the leg.
So this way.
Is that how you would go around
Yeah.
here? Yep. So
Yeah.
that's where you're going to go in.
All right.
The first
The
stitch.
very first one. Okay. All right. And single crochet.
Yeah, and we're going to
around.
single crochet around both those legs
Okay.
again.
So we'll speed this up. All right.
Okay, so
So
Now you
this is
can-
what it looks like now.
Yeah,
Just
got
a little
like half a
thicker.
belly.
Yeah. All
thicker
right.
line in there. So now you want to find the 5 stitches you worked with before.
Oh boy,
Make sure you're
okay.
working with those.
All right.
Because the other side of them this time.
Okay. So it's a
So,
single in the first one.
Single in the first, yeah.
Going to be even more tight. And then a half double.
Half double. You're beating
So
me.
around
Yeah.
in, wow. Okay. Actually, it might be even a little bit easier. Woohoo!
Good job.
All right. And then
Nice.
the double.
The double, yeah.
Remember to make the loop. The next one is a half double.
So you did single, half double, double,
Yeah.
half double,
Half-
single. So basically you go up the hill and then you come back down the hill.
Yeah. Okay. So now what we have is the bottom
The section there.
of the belly.
And now we're going to go one more time around and do that similar to that, but slightly altered.
Okay.
So this time we actually want to do a decrease stitch because let me see yours there. Yeah. So see how we kind of have this and this?
Yeah.
I want to close that up.
It's like a bit of a hole
Yeah. So we're actually going to go through that one,
through
that bit of a hole
that
there.
big one.
Yeah.
Okay. So it just like a single crochet
Yeah.
though.
And we're going
Okay.
to pull it up, but we're not going to finish the single crochet because we're
Okay.
going to do
Gonna
a
go
decrease.
through.
Yeah. And so then you've got that second loop on, and now we're going to go through the very next stitch as well.
So am I pulling it through though the stitch there?
Yeah, you're pulling through.
Okay.
And you're going to have it stay on, and
Yeah.
before you finish it, you're going to go through this next one as well.
This one?
This little guy right here,
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
because we're going to do a bit
The
of a
next one.
decrease. Yeah.
Okay.
And then pull through that one, and again through all 3 of those. So we just did a decrease there to really
Okay.
close that up nice and tight. Yeah, and now we
Oh,
need
wow.
to
Okay. So now it's nice and tight.
yeah,
Right.
now we need to crochet around those legs again.
A
So-
single crochet.
Yep, single crochet
Okay,
around.
so we'll speed
Here we
this
go,
one
and
up.
fast forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so now again, we're going to do a decrease as we come up to the belly. So the last stitch of your leg with the first stitch of your belly, that's where you're going to decrease. So
Okay.
you're going to do like we did before.
So I'm going to go in here.
Yep, go in and keep it on your hook.
Oh, I see what you
Don't
mean.
finish
It's
the
tight.
stitch.
It's
Yeah.
a little bit of a tighter.
Tighter stitch there.
Okay. Tight is all relative. All right.
Pull through, but don't finish the stitch. So leave it on your
Yeah.
hook.
Okay. I just need to tighten this up.
Again, you can do this all counted, but I also find by not necessarily depending strictly on a stitch count, you can actually solve some of these problems then when you run into them. instead of getting to the end and being like, I don't understand why I don't have the right number of
Right.
stitches, right?
Right.
So,
Okay.
So now you should have, again, those 4 stitches there.
Yep.
So
One,
we're
two,
going to
three,
go
4.
straight to a half double crochet.
All right, half double.
Yep.
Half double. Through all 3.
There
Okay.
we go. So, and now we're going to do that decrease stitch again.
Okay.
So with the last single of the belly and the first single of the leg.
Okay. So through the stitch on the belly,
And
2 loops,
stitch on the leg.
and then the stitch on the leg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up through all 3. Lickety split. Okay.
Nice. Now one more time around those last 2 legs.
Oh, okay. God,
You're getting there.
we're in there.
You're getting there.
All right. We're going to fast forward again.
Yeah.
So I'm coming to the end.
Yeah, as you come to the end of that leg again,
Okay.
to that belly, the last stitch of the leg,
Decrease.
with the first stitch of the belly, do a decrease there. Just to snug that up.
Oh. I did a yarn. I did a half.
Oh yeah, no yarning over.
Yeah, no yarn over.
No
Okay.
yarn over. Otherwise we end up with an additional stitch and we
That's not good. Okay.
need plus and minus at the same time. Okay, yeah, all 3 of those. And, oh, so close.
Got it.
Yes, nice. So now we're going to do that final half double crochet, double crochet, half
Okay.
double crochet,
Okay. So
half double crochet.
it's a single, or no, the
Nope.
decrease was a
The
single.
decrease was the single.
So we're going to do a half
crochet.
double. Okay. Then a decrease.
Then the decrease between that last belly stitch
Okay.
and the first leg stitch.
Yeah. And through the 3 loops. All right.
Good job. You're finishing up before me here.
Well, I think, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
there you are. Okay, so let's do a final count stitch count. So pull your thing out a bit just so you don't lose that.
Ah,
There we go.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so go around and see if you can count your stitches and see how many you've ended up with. And how
Okay.
many,
And I
I'm gonna see
count
how
the
many-
one, this is the one that the loop is in, is the
Yes,
first one,
That's your
right?
first one. Yep.
46.
46. Okay, I think I had 45. So,
Okay.
But I think I know where I missed one, and that's fine. So
Okay.
what we will do next week in the next 4 rows will still be in this, or 4 rounds, excuse me. The next 4 rounds will still be in this color. It will all be single stitches, and we're
Okay.
just going to get ourselves within the next 4 rows increased to 52 stitches. But we are going to be careful about where we do those increases, because
Okay.
that's where we're going to start to create some butt curvature
Oh, okay.
and sort of some of that chest. So that's where we'll do some of that adjustment for this part of the body.
Okay, that's next time.
We'll do that for
Okay,
next time.
so
yeah.
now I've noticed that my legs are slightly different sizes. There seem to be smaller on the front
Oh, okay.
and larger in the back.
Okay.
So I think that would make
We'll
sense to
determine
make that
where
the
your-
back.
Your back end is. And that will, we can do that. Yeah, I will just adjust mine. Normally your back would be, it doesn't matter. We'll do it. See, this is where we get to choose.
Oh, okay.
And this is what I like. The fact that you can look at it and go, well,
This
you
would
know
be
what?
better
It
as
would
the
make
back.
more sense as the back end. So
Okay.
that's where it's nicer to
Oh,
adjust.
and you can just choose.
Well, I say you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
The original
perfect.
pattern will not tell you that.
Okay.
But this is the Betsy style.
Yes,
Right?
right. That's right. Okay, great. So, and you can really see how
Starting to come.
they really, like you had mentioned in the previous one, that little tightening up around
That
the top.
final decrease row.
Yeah, now makes it look like they've got thighs.
Yes, the top of their legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right.
right.
Thanks, Betsy.
You're welcome.
Oh, we should say what you're wearing
Oh, yes, of
because
course.
people are going to ask.
Okay, so this is the Andrea Mowry Fun, Fun, Fun shawl. And I actually did it in very similar colors to what she had. I don't think I could get the exact yarn, but I chose colors. So if you go on her Ravelry page, you can basically see this color.
And it's quite a big shawl, you were saying.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got quite a large, true to Andrea, it's got quite a large wingspan. Not as large as some of hers. I think your Birds of a Feather is significantly larger, but it's lighter weight yarn.
Yes, that's right. Okay. And you could knit that in a lighter weight yarn as well,
you
right?
Could. Yeah, you could. Yeah, it's fun. It has, so she does a combination of...
That looks almost like a DK weight.
Yes, this is a DK.
Okay.
Yeah, so she does some garter. She does, what do you call that, where you get the holes?
Eyelets.
Eyelets in it.
Yeah, lace.
Combination of stocking stitch, garter, eyelets. I think that's why she calls it fun, because you get to switch it up.
Okay, and I'm wearing, just tapped on the microphone, I'm wearing Rosso from Rowan Magazine 64, knit in Kid Silk's held double, and the color is Liqueur.
It's a gorgeous color on her.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Yes, that could be the shoveling. Anyway.
All right. She's been shoveling snow.
Yes,
that's exactly what she means.
Yes, that's right. Okay, everyone, back to the podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So you can see that I'm a little uptight when I'm crocheting. It's with cotton, and quite a thick cotton. And I keep forgetting when I'm doing it with the cotton for some reason. I didn't have the problem when I was crocheting on my Paisley, but I keep forgetting to move the stitches all the way down the hook to where the full size of the hook is. So I'm knitting or crocheting on the end, and you saw me there struggling because we explained in it about the difference of the way you wrap your yarn when you're doing amigurumi versus if you're doing right-handed crochet. So I just did, many single crochets on Paisley, and then trying to switch my brain around to wrapping the yarn around the crochet hook in a different way. It's a little bit challenging. So luckily on the parts that were speeded up, you didn't get to hear my we have a girl, Jennifer Hicks always says automotive language. So I just had some automotive language there because I kept forgetting to wrap the yarn in the right way. Anyway, so those are the llamas. And now I'm going to show you the progress on Penelope and her brother Pierre. So last episode, Penelope was finished. I'm just going to move these yarns over here because I have a pile of yarn and knitting. So last episode, Penelope was finished, but I just had to put a button on the back of her dress, and I'm finding it kind of hard to find the small buttons that I really wanted. So I do have a set of buttons in the shop that I think I'll end up using that are little tiny buttons with a shank on them. So I'm going to do that, but I am going to try to source some really tiny buttons and have them in the shop. So there's Penelope, and I knit Pierre in exactly the same way, but somehow he came out smaller. So my tension was obviously a bit tighter on Pierre, or I didn't stuff him quite as much. But here's Pierre, and I'm just going to set Penelope down for a second. So Pierre has coveralls, and the straps cross in the back. I don't have a button on his shirt either, but I'm gonna undress him a little bit. So these are the coveralls, but since I don't have the buttons, I can't put them on. But if you look at the detail on these, that's absolutely incredible. These little pockets are real pockets that you do a lining for and everything. And the pattern of the coveralls comes with a little toy that so you can knit a little toy that's going to go in the pockets, or you can put his little hands in his pockets as well. Like, they're really, really cute. So the coveralls have straps that cross in the back, and I'm just going to take off his coveralls. He's got socks, so these aren't his boots, those are socks. And I'm actually knitting sneakers that are gonna go over those feet. So he's got like some pretty big rabbit feet. So if I take off his little, I don't know what I had done the last time. I think I just had his body. I don't think he was put together yet. He was in pieces. So those are the pants. His feet are much wider than his legs. Okay. So those are his pants. Sorry, Pierre. He's in his little boxer shorts. And this is actually a little crew neck sweater, which also takes they need to have buttons on the sweaters and tops because it has to go over their head. But it's just so cute. Again, remnants left over from when I knit my Cornwallis sweater. So just look at that. It's really cute. And his little sneakers are going to be white and navy, which was also left over. So they're going to match his little boxer shorts. That's made from the white and the sailor blue in Summerlite DK. So all the clothes are knit in Summerlite DK. And the socks are not removable. They're knit right on the leg, but I also did those in Summerlite DK. And there's a couple different selections and these patterns are from Little Cotton Rabbits, and it's Julie Williams is the name of the designer. And these particular feet that I did, or socks that I did, are the socks with the Kitchener stitch on the top. So it's been a while since I've done Kitchener stitch. So you can see this was my first one. It's a little bit, you can see where it's been done, but when I went and when I did the second one, I actually got the hang of the tension a little bit more. So you can see that it's pretty invisible on that one. And this little rabbit is teaching me a few little things because for some reason his little leg on this side goes in a little bit, but that's okay. They've really got their own little personalities because you don't knit them exactly. Everything is not knit exactly the same way. So that's Pierre. So he's just waiting for buttons for his clothes so they'll stay on, and his little sneakers that I'll show you the next time. So I bought the removable shoe pattern is a separate pattern. So I bought that, and there's also a big selection of dresses. So all of the patterns that Julie has done have clothes for the rabbit that you're making, but then there's other patterns for more clothes if you want to do like alternate kind of outfits and stuff, and that's what so I bought that. So Penelope will have a different kind of dress, I think, at some point. And I'm not going to bother putting Pierre's pants right back on yet. I'll dress him later, but there he is. So it's really hot, and I'm already planning my next one because I think maybe they need a friend or two. So it's really addictive because they're so darn cute, and they do really look different. So they have their little personalities. So that's the Little Cotton Rabbits. So it's a joyful project, I would say. Got my knitting mojo back, and that just doing that little break and doing something fun and happy like that, it means that I've been like going crazy on getting my Paisley done, and I've been working on my tungsten, and already thinking about what my next knitting project, which is going to be probably still the cowl cardigan that I showed a couple episodes ago. But I haven't started it yet. I think I might have changed my mind on the yarn that I'm going to use, so we'll stay tuned for that. I might use Selkirk Worsted for that as well. The pattern is originally done for Rowan Kid Classic, but I think I might be doing it in I really want it in red, so I might do it in cranberry and Selkirk, but I haven't decided. So I think that's a lot of knitting for to show. So you have lots of different ideas for different things that you can make, small projects. And if you're stuck in a bit of a rut, then you can have those. Hopefully that'll give you a few ideas for some small happy projects that you can knit up and have success and give to your friends and that kind of thing. So the shop update is actually, I've done a part of it already. So in the shop we have these the four types of pom-poms. So as I said, the white with the brown, and I have white with black. I have the dark brown, and I have the lighter brown as well. So those are in the shop. And I just wanted to show a few more skeins of Selkirk Worsted because is really some of the things that are happening with the contrasting colors using the different variegated yarns with solids are really amazing. So the Simone Van Eiderstein, who is the mastermind behind Sand and Sky Creations here on Prince Edward Island, has knit with our yarn a cowl called Winter Light Cowl. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And she used the Selkirk Worsted in Scotch on the Rocks, and she paired it with crow wing. I don't have any crow wing left in stock because she released the pattern and we sold out. So I'll show a picture of the cowl. And you can see it's just delightful and a fantastic way to use the variegated. Almost has a stained glass look to it with the crow wing around the Scotch on the Rocks. So you can still purchase Scotch on the Rocks. It's going to be a regular colorway that we're going to keep now because it's been really, really popular. And we have made more of the cranberry scones in Selkirk Worsted, which you saw in a couple projects there, and we sold out and then made more and sold out again and made more, and we'll continue to keep this one in stock as well. And the last time we met, I was showing you the different colors that you can put with it. So it goes with cranberry, it goes with pumpkin patch, which is an orange hit, plover is another color that goes with it, and natural, of course. And the Strawberry Fields, which is in the pair of solstice mitts that Janet did. So you can see how that knits up. And then another couple combinations. One of my favorite variegated colors in Selkirk Worsted is actually this one called Moonlight. And it has hits of slate in it and seagull, and there's a little bit of a brownish color in it as well, and this beautiful blue, and it goes really, really nice contrasted with seagull. So here it's a little bit different. The variegated is dark with a lighter color but not white, so it's a little bit of a soft contrast, but it also goes really well with crow wing, and that would be a really kind of muted look as well. So seagull and moonlight together is a great combination. And I wanted to show you as well this one, which is called Rose Petals. And this is one that we kind of made and put it on the shelf and then forgot about it, but it's a really beautiful pink with red in it. It's just little soft hits of red, and it would also make a lovely contrast either in a variegated yoke if you wanted to, or any of the mittens that we showed as well. So I thought it would be good with this. So you could see that with Vineyard, instead of this other pink that's in these mittens, you could use this one. It's called Rose Petals. And the last one that I wanted to show, because it's interesting, it's called Wild Rose. We had a rose theme going on for a while, but it's a very different kind of color because it's very muted. It's done with a wash. So you do the variegation and then you dip the whole skein into a wash, which is with plover, and you get this kind of muted, soft variegation. And this one is called Wild Rose. So I thought I would show that just because it's a really interesting color. It sells really, really well in the shop. I don't know that it does it justice on the website just as a static picture, but when you start looking at it with other colors of yarn, it has a really, really nice look. It goes well with browns, and you can use browns and reds and golds with it because it has all of those colors in it. So that's about all that I wanted to talk about. So again, the bunnies are made with the felted tweed and kid silk haze held double for the bodies. And so that's available in the shop. And then all of the clothes and the other like socks and everything are knit with Summerlite DK from Rowan as well. So those are in the shop. And I wanted to talk a little bit about our sock yarn. So we have Point Prim Sock yarn, and we've got several, like a lot of colors now. We've expanded the color range that we have in the sock yarn, but I wanted to make a special mention of it here because there's been a lot of talk lately about finding sock yarns and knitting with sock yarns that don't have any synthetic fibers in them. And you know, we use nylon and sock yarn because you want to have strength, but you can make a sock yarn that lasts without using any synthetic fibers. So in our sock yarn, we use mohair that we source from here in Canada with the wool from our farm and other local farms. And we made the Point Prim Sock yarn. So there's lots of colors, but I just brought a couple of them here. So this is a Night Without Stars, which is a navy. And then we have quite a few variegated colors as well. And just to show you two of them, one of them is Bramble. And it comes out a little bit in the Selkirk Worsted. Bramble is one of our most popular colors. And it is a little bit more muted in the Selkirk Worsted, but when you dye it on the Point Prim Sock, it actually has the pops of color actually are a little bit brighter. This is a great sock yarn. It makes a really nice, interesting sock. And then we have Sea Glass. So these are just a couple examples, but if you go on the website, there's lots of other colors. When we do the variegated ones, we always have a solid that would go with it. So you could pair Bramble with A Night Without Stars if you want it, but we also have Trondheim Blue that goes with Bramble as well, and we have Vineyard and those colors, or sorry, Rhubarb that would go with it. And then with the Sea Glass, we have blues and the green caramel apple that would go with it. We have another variegated similar to this but called Ferris Wheel that has different colors as well, but there's always a solid to go with it if you wanted to mix and match a solid with a variegated. So the Point Prim Sock fits the bill if you're looking for a natural sock yarn with no synthetic fibers in it, but it is strengthened with mohair, as I said, so you have good durability. And the skeins are 400 yards and 108 grams. So you have enough to do a full pair of socks that come up past the calf with those skeins. So if you're looking for that, we have it. And of course, right over our shelf that we have with the Point Prim Sock yarn, we have the 52 Weeks of Socks book, because they're also talking about natural sock yarns without any synthetics in that book. So we have that book available as well. So that's Point Prim Sock yarn. And I think that's about it for the shop update as well. And we're coming to the end. We're going to do the Fibre Festival update next. So the other thing that I'll mention is that I always put chapters in the description in the podcast. So if you like certain pieces and you want to skip over other pieces that we do in the podcast, you can do that, because you'll see with the description in the description, you'll see the chapter with a description of what's being reviewed in that section of the video. And I put all of that in the show note description below on the video, so you can look at that. And I take quite a long time to do those descriptions, so you can find a lot of information in there about designers and patterns that we talk about. And now I want to give just an update about the PEI Fibre Festival. So the PEI Fibre Festival is planned to take place on September 23rd, 24th, and 25th of September in 2022. It seems a bit crazy talking about it right now because of everything that's going on, but we're still pretty confident that as bad as things are now, is that it may be the beginning of the end for all of this that's happening. So we're hoping that the Fibre Festival is going to go forward in September. By the end of September, that we should be able to gather again. The new update is that so hotels have started to make their offers for their special rates for the Fibre Festival attendees. So there's a tab on the website. So the website link is in the show notes for the PEI Fibre Festival. If you click on the link and get to the website, there is a tab for hotel partners. And in that tab, you'll find right now there's 2 hotels that have confirmed rates for the Fibre Festival and have blocks of rooms. The Delta has a block of rooms available. And but there are other hotels that will be joining in there that we're just in the final phases of negotiating with. The committee is just in the final phases of negotiation. So that will change as more hotels come on board. Also, if you want to sign up for the PEI Fibre Festival newsletter, there's a link to do that on the website as well. So you can sign up for the newsletter and you'll get all the information as it becomes available for the Fibre Festival. So right before we go to the harmony part, I just want to thank everybody for joining me today. And I really, really appreciate everybody that has sent their comments. I just want to make a note that I actually uploaded, when I made the announcement of my father's passing in the little update that I did, I actually uploaded the unedited version of my little news that I did. And there were quite a few comments there when I discovered that I had uploaded the wrong version. So I took down the wrong version and put up the correct one, which was edited and had a little tribute to my dad. And so I make a commitment to answer every comment on all of the videos that I post. And the people that made had sent me notes at the very beginning when I first posted that, I read them all, but I hadn't had time to answer them all. So if you didn't get an answer to your condolences that you sent, don't worry, I read them. But they disappeared when I put up the new version, so I couldn't go back and answer them. And I didn't really realize that would happen, so I'm gonna just apologize for that. But I did read everything, and I just wanted to thank everybody for your kind thoughts and words. It was really meaningful. My mom read them all as well, so thank you so much for that. So we will go now to the harmony part, and this is the part in the podcast where you get to sit back and listen to some music and see some scenery of what's helped us relax for the last 2 weeks. And I wish everybody a great 2 weeks with lots of joy and happiness, and stay safe in this crazy time. And we'll see you back here in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, and have a great 2 weeks. Bye.
Thank you.